Hello and welcome to the Temple Without Boundaries. I am the Reverend Octavia Brooks. Thank you for coming in. Today I'd like to share with you how to express your gratitude to the Divine Universe. So there are three main aspects to the gratitude meditation that I think are really important. One is to create categories for your life. So you're going to give your thanks related to these categories, and this is going to help you remember to be comprehensive in your appreciation. So the second thing is being heard by the universe, being heard by a divine component of the universe. So we'll go into that in a little bit more detail. And then third place is setting a sacred space. Now I have a class where I go in detail about sacred space, but for this video I'll make sure that you know how to establish that wonderful place inside yourself with an open heart so you can create that dialogue with the divine universe. Let's start with the categories. Let's go into categories a little bit deeper. As I mentioned, you'd like to have a category for pretty much each part of your life. So I just think in terms of fours for this for some reason. So I would say that there's a category for maybe finances and career. Maybe there's a category for loved ones, family, relationships, people-oriented stuff. A category for your health, your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, and then there's probably another category for your spiritual development, your personal growth areas of your life. And so you may come up with a different set of categories, but I think that's fairly comprehensive, and you're welcome to have as many categories as you like, whatever you can use to trigger your memory about the wonderful things that you have in that particular category of your life. I think this just really helps us be thorough. And remember, this is the thorough version of the gratitude practice. So another way to remember and trigger your memory is to just have a visual cue, like a symbol. You can find a lot of these symbols just around the house. So for example, for your financial category, you might just want to use a coin. For your health and well-being category, you might want to use an apple, for example, or a vitamin pill. For your friends and family, it's really easy to cut a heart out of a piece of paper and put something like that on your altar. And for your spiritual well-being, a crystal is a really nice symbol if you happen to have one of those laying around, or maybe another kind of a sacred stone, or even a crystal glass or goblet, or maybe a small bowl of water is another good symbol, but you can probably find something of your own. These are just ideas for symbolizing your categories, but feel free to be creative here. The goal is what will trigger memories for you while you're going through the meditation. So you don't have to get too far out of the meditation to feel like you're being thorough in that one category. So the next part of the gratitude practice that I wanted to cover is about being heard. This is where you adapt your own version of the special part of the universe that you would like to hear your prayers and your appreciations and your thanks and gratitudes. And I am a non-traditional person, but this concept might for you be the traditional version of God or your own personal definition of God. Some people like to use the version of goddess, the feminine version, or just the native version of creator. Or speaking of indigenous folks, a lot of them will speak directly to the four directions or the four elements and allow those elements and those energies, those aspects of the universe to carry their prayers out further. So as you can tell, I'm just asking you to adopt what you want as far as what is going to work for you. So another couple of ideas in this direction. You may have a guru that you really appreciate. That might be Prem Baba or Babaji or Amma, the hugging saint. Another thing the indigenous folks do, or a lot of people do, is to speak to their ancestors and let their ancestors carry their prayers out to the universe. Another couple of ideas, you may want to just worship a particular deity. For example, Shakti or Shiva or Ganesha, or somebody from the Greek or Roman pantheons, Athena or Dionysos. So any of these kinds of gods might work for you. And you could carry it out even further. If none of those concepts works, you could just talk about the divine heart of the universe. Just connect directly to the divinity within the center of the universe. or your higher self. And one of my personal favorites too, the pagans will go out into the woods and find a fantastic tree, a tree that they feel is really worthy for carrying their prayers out. And the lore about trees is that their roots are connected all the way around the world, so you can be sure that any prayers said to a tree will certainly work. So the idea here is to find a version of divinity that you feel really connected to, that feels really meaningful to you, and then weave that into your gratitude practice. Okay, we talked about being heard by the universe, and I'm just going to use that term, the universe, but feel free to insert your word there. And now we're talking about setting sacred space. So I mentioned previously that you want to do this in a place where you can feel safe from interruption, a place where you're going to be able to establish some peace and calm in yourself, where you're going to be able to go into a quiet and meditative state. So that's one thing. And then I recommend that you establish a little bit of an altar. And I said that I am not recommending some big grand altar. A lot of times we think that we're going to be going to church and we think of those big giant altars. No, this is a real miniature, quickie kind of altar. And so you have, on that altar you would have your categories, your symbols of your categories. And then I highly recommend a candle. In fact, that's a core part of the way I teach this gratitude meditation. So please get any kind of a candle is fine, as long as the flame lights. And then if you have a photo or an image of your guru, of your ancestor, of your deity that you would like to work with and talk to as you express your gratitude, then feel free to also add that to your altar. So the goal here is that you've got an altar that you can take out and set up in just a matter of a couple of minutes. So you don't want some big elaborate altar that's going to be a barrier, an obstacle to having you sit down and do this practice. So something you can roll up real quick and throw in your backpack and take out on a hike, or roll it up and put it away in a drawer and then pull it out really quickly and set it up very quickly when you get ready to sit down for your practice. And then there's also a part of setting sacred space that's internal, and we'll go through that again in more detail as I lead the meditation, but this is where you really kind of focus on yourself and where you shift your internal attention to a spiritual moment. You're going to have a spiritual moment with yourself, and it feels personal, it feels intimate, it feels like your heart is opening and softening, and that you're going to open those lines of communication with the universe. Okay, let's go through this meditation step by step now. So in front of you, you have your altar set up, and you've got your candle lit, and you're starting to feel like you're in a good, comfortable, safe space. So, and you have in your mind, you've got your symbols there on the altar, and you're mentally prepared for the things that you want to give thanks for. And so now what I'd like to have you do is just, as I mentioned before, begin to kind of settle into yourself a little bit. Take some really good deep breaths. Feel yourself calming down. Breathe into your heart. Start thinking about this wonderful spiritual inspiration, the guru, the deity who you'd like to hear. So this is where you think about the aspect of the divine universe that you would like to connect with. And using your imagination and using your breath, imagine that your heart is somehow able to connect and find the heart of that wonderful piece of the universe whom you want to hear your prayers of gratitude and appreciation. So just feel that connection opening. with your ancestors, with the gods, with God or Goddess, Creator. And now with your heart open and connected, open your eyes and begin looking into the candle flame. And here's where I'd like to have you use the candle flame as a kind of a microphone. So as your heart is open, your heart is connecting with the candle flame, and you know that you're connected with your spiritual inspiration, that you want to hear your gratitude. Begin expressing your gratitude using the first category that you want to start with. And just start by saying your gratitude out loud. Begin with the words, thank you. And thank the universe for something in your life that is really having meaning for you. So if you're starting with finances or career, for example, give thanks for the aspects of that part of your life that are really working well. And even find a reason to give thanks if some aspect of that part of your life is not working as well as you'd like it to. It's okay. It's going to get better. So keep giving thanks. Keep repeating different phrases and continue until you feel like you've thought of everything that you can think of to give thanks for that category of your life. And here's where you might want to pause the tape and continue to finish out that category. So when you feel like you've finished out the category and you've said everything that you have in mind to say, then go ahead and feel free to feel and notice that those messages have been delivered through the magic portal of the candle flame, the magic portal of your heart being connected to the divine universe. Know in your heart and feel, or use your imagination, because imagination is another one of our human powers. But know that your messages have been received and delivered by the universe. So take a moment now and feel assured. Feel that sense of confidence that your messages have been delivered. So after you've kind of soaked in that moment of security and knowing that you have established this dialogue with the universe and that you've been heard, then move on to the next category and start expressing your gratitude there as well. And continue through that category. So again, here's where you might want to pause the video for a few minutes and finish all of the categories. Express all of the graceful, the thank yous, all of the gratitudes that you have in mind to say today. And then come back and we'll wrap up. Alright, when you feel that you have completed your exercise of expressing your gratitude for all the wonderful things in your life and all these different categories of your life, and your heart is just full and overflowing and just brimming with this wonderful exercise. So it's time to draw this to a close, and you'll carry these wonderful feelings with you throughout the day. But tuning back into your heart for a moment, begin to give thanks for being heard by the universe, by your wonderful guru, your ancestors, whoever you chose to be heard by. Give thanks for being acknowledged, and then feel the doors of that communication channel just very naturally and gently closing in your heart. Kind of breathe into that, feeling yourself back, getting back in your body, feeling your heart just coming back into just you. And when you feel that that process is complete, you can go ahead and blow out the candle as a symbol of closing this ritual, if you will, this gratitude practice out. So closing that out, letting the candle go, and returning back to your breath, returning back to your body, returning back to the room, and closing this out. So that's it. That's the long version of the gratitude meditation. And next we're going to go into the spontaneous gratitude prayer. Alright, let's go into the spontaneous gratitude prayer. So I'm imagining that you're going to be using this particular type of gratitude prayer. You're just out and about in the world and something amazing happens, like you get that sweet parking spot, or you get some fantastic news about a family member or your best friend, or something wonderful happens to you in your life and you just want to give like a whoop whoop celebration, just shout out to the universe and a big thank you for that. So the reason I teach this one second is because it's based on the same principles as the gratitude meditation, but you're going to go through those same steps in rapid fire, just really quickly. So here you're going to be, your heart is already really full because you've just gotten this wonderful news. You have something to celebrate, and so you're going to open your heart, and now that you know how to connect with your divine aspect of the universe that you like to talk to and share these revelations with, you're going to open that channel of communication in your heart. And then you're just going to say that appreciation. You're going to just give thanks. Thank you so much. I'm just really happy that I got this wonderful news, that this wonderful gift came to me. And you might want to throw another couple of wonderful gifts in there too, if you have time. But this is something you can just do anywhere, anytime. You know, you're out in the public world, you can say these things. You can do this as an internal process and say the prayer, say the thank yous inside your own mind, like, thank you. Say it really loud in your own mind and celebrate it personally, or, you know, just say it out loud, woohoo! So just when you're done, just kind of remember to naturally close down that open dialogue, that open channel, so you're not just open randomly all the time. And that's it for the spontaneous gratitude prayer. Just do it as often as you can. Well, we've reached the end of the video. Thanks for sticking with me. You might have heard me refer to this as a gratitude practice. Well, that's kind of a harsh word, and I don't really mean to make it seem like I'm cracking the whip on you, you better practice this. And all I mean by that is you may notice once you go through this ritual a couple of times that there are some adaptations you might want to make to it. You might want to add another category, or oops, maybe you forgot to say a thank you to something, or maybe you just have another way you want to approach it, or maybe you want to try something, borrow something from another pathway. So it's all about your creativity. It's all about customizing it. And that's what this Temple Without Boundaries is all about, making your spiritual path really something that's perfect for you, that's right for you. Customize, do it yourself. So I thank you very much for visiting me in the temple today. Come back again soon. Namaste.